Crime is not up. So
well, it's
shootings,
up from year to year, Mayor.
So shootings and homicides, those are up, and that's a great concern. But when you look at violent crime throughout, crime is down. Actually, violent crime is way down. Property crime is way down.
That's Providence Mayor Jorge Arloza on with me a couple of weeks ago. He said, overall, you look back 4 or 5 years, we're doing fine crime-wise, except for this nasty spike in murders and shooting. Well, it's a big deal. It's also a big deal that the mayor is fighting with the police union, and the police union is also at odds with Commissioner Paré, who is my guest coming up in just a minute. Council President John Igliozzi was with me last week, and he's become a critic of the mayor and Commissioner Paré. He really laid them out, 1, 2, 3.
First of all, you can't disband the gang unit and then embrace gang activity and claim the gang members are victims. First thing. Second, you can't do a mixed message and say that we're going to legitimize this ATV abhorrent behavior, and meanwhile try to pretend you're trying to address it. And the third thing is, by the way, every budget cycle, the city council has funded an academy, and the mayor and the commissioner has rejected consistently putting an academy forward. That's the reason why we're at such an alarming low rate.
All right, it's fair to bring the commissioner on to answer his critics. Providence Public Safety Commissioner Stephen Paré, thanks for coming on. Appreciate your time. Let's get right to it. He just laid you out. 1, 2, 3. You disbanded the gang unit. You say what?
He's wrong. So let me tell you the facts. We never disbanded the gang unit. So the council president is wrong. And whether he was misinformed or he is spinning this, he's wrong on that count. He has accused the administration of policy changes. He identifies the ATV mixed messaging. I'm assuming that some of the options that we were considering early on, a year or so ago, was what he calls mixed messaging. Let me be clear. We never asked our police department or our police officers to stand down on ATVs.
Okay.
And, we are all frustrated, and the council president doesn't want to hear that. And I understand that as well. But for him to say this should be fixed and there's no excuses, is disingenuous. And I don't know why he's taking that position.
All right. Without being the arbiter between you and the council president and the other parties in here, you used to have a specific unit called the gang unit. That has been absorbed by a larger task force. Is he technically right in saying the gang unit doesn't exist, but those duties have been absorbed, you're saying? No change?
That's not accurate.
Tell me what's accurate.
So the gang unit was never disbanded. The gang unit continues today. It's been renamed to a task force, violent crime task force here in Providence. It's the same number of people with the same mission and focus.
Does that new unit take on added responsibilities, or it's basically the same thing, we just renamed it? And everybody needs to get that straight.
That's correct.
All right. With regard to the ATVs, did you misspeak at the last emergency meeting in saying, I think there's something pending up at the State House with regard to legalization? Because that took off like wildfire. In fact,
sure.
I thought Mayor Arloza backed off on that. But when you said it, I said, oh, maybe they're still going for it, legalizing ATVs. Make that clear.
Yeah, so we are not considering any legislative change to legalize ATVs.
Okay, that's a dead issue. Now, with regard to who funded what to get enough cops, the chief said, I'm working with like 403 cops now. I'm supposed to have 450 minimum. Some studies say 550 to 600. With suspensions and National Guard deployments, you're down to 370. Igliozzi is saying, we just heard him say it, we gave you the money every year to have enough cops. You say what?
He's wrong. So we've had 4 academies over the past 6 years or so. The council funded those academies. The council funded recruitment in those off years. So we continue to recruit whether we're having an academy or not. The council did not fund to hire police officers in an academy and eventually sworn members in those off-budget years. For him to say that he has funded an academy each year is disingenuous and inaccurate. He's just wrong on that.
Commissioner, what's going on here? because you just pointed out 1, 2, 3 things. Like Igliozzi came on and you're saying he's wrong on this, wrong on that. You work with him. He works for you. You all want the best for the city. Give me the story. What's going on here between you and him and the mayor and everybody else?
Yeah, so I don't know why he is. So we had a bad cycle of crime, of course, and any elected official is concerned with that. But to jump on and say, as an elected official, that we have lawlessness, we have don't go to Federal Hill and all these other things. Okay, what do we use to determine whether or not we have lawlessness? We have an increase in violence. So we submit our data every year, been doing it for 50 years to the FBI. So we look at crime data and we look and analyze every week here in the Providence Police Department what is happening in our neighborhoods. And so we can argue, and I agree, we've had some violence a week or so ago for 3 to 4 weeks, horrible. But when you look at the data and you look at homicides and shootings and aggravated assaults, violent crime is down.
Okay.
And for a public official to say, don't come to the city of Providence, is just not what we need as public safety officials and police officers. We need their support. Providence Police do a remarkable job. And yeah, we have an academy of 49 that will graduate later this year. And they put in money for another academy.
Okay.
That will, we can't just hire police officers in 3 months. It takes nearly a year for us to recruit and then run them through an academy. The academy is 6 months long.
Yes.
And so, yeah, we need more bodies. It's nothing new. They knew about it. We knew what our shortage was, and we're going to start recruiting and begin a process to hire more police officers once this class graduates in November.
Okay, let me hold you there. We've got to take a break. Just a couple of points. Council President Igliozzi did call the situation lawless. He did not tell people not to come to Federal Hill. Councilman Narducci said his constituents are frightened to go to Federal Hill. Mayor Policina in Johnson said he doesn't want to go to Federal Hill and won't go until it gets cleaned up. When we come back, I want to ask you about Councilman Taylor calling for your resignation. Stay with us. Welcome back. Providence Public Safety Commissioner Stephen Paré is my guest to answer some of his critics. We had the council president on last week. It's only fair that we have the commissioner. Councilman Taylor, and I know you guys aren't the best of friends. In fact, you've got bad blood between you. He called for your resignation. Is there a way you'd like to shape that or frame that for me? He wants you to resign.
Yeah, I understand that Councilman Taylor worked in the Providence Fire Department. And as the commissioner, I had personnel issues with him, and he was disciplined for honesty and some inappropriate behavior. And so he left here. Obviously, he doesn't like me personally and professionally. I don't feel the same of him, but he's trying to remove me as commissioner, calling for my resignation, and wants to get rid of me. It's all personal attack at me because of the history. I have nothing against Councilman Taylor at all, but it stems from when he worked here and me holding him accountable for some behavior that he didn't like.
It's just important to know the background and what's what and what the points of connection are between the characters in the play over here. You've got 2 police officers suspended. We all saw the body cam video, 6 hours worth, come out last week of what I would call a rough arrest. I think both sides would agree that was a rough arrest. A lot of arrests are rough, though, say the union, and that you're making too much of a deal out of this. A couple of cops are seen going after a couple of kids who had BB guns. One cop is pulled off, and then another cop is seen spitting in the direction of one of those suspects. You want to frame that for me? You called it appalling. The union says it's not appalling in the heat of battle. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Well, we disagree. I did call it appalling. What I saw in that body cam is behavior of some police officers that are not reflective of the Providence Police. As you know, I'm restricted under the WJAR, the Law Enforcement Officers Bill of Rights, to publicly and specifically talk about a case that's pending. And so I'm going to follow the law and be mindful that I shouldn't be and will not be talking specifically until the case has been adjudicated. So it is appalling, and we'll get through it as a police department, but people can opine because we have body cam, and whether or not that behavior is acceptable with the public is their choice.
I just have about 30 seconds left. It's bad timing for this. Are you saying we should wait for the full facts to come out, wait for the investigation? Again, 30 seconds left.
I mean, the timing, look, the body cams I fully support and release to the public. I think it adds transparency. People can listen and view and opine themselves. But listen, you know, the colonel runs the police department. I'm responsible for public safety. These are difficult cases. We're going to call them as we see them in a fair and balanced way. And sometimes it doesn't look pretty, and other tactics could have been used. So it'll play itself out. People will be held accountable, and we'll let the Attorney General complete his review.
All right, some new topics ate up our time. We've got to get to the solution for the ATVs, but I'll have you on the radio again. We'll continue our discussion, and you're welcome back to 10 News Conference anytime. Providence Public Safety Commissioner Stephen Paré, thank you.
Thank you, Gene.